They betrayed you, and now you sit there, breath shallow, eyes scanning memories like crime scene photos. Replay after replay. The laugh you shared, the plans you whispered, the trust you gave. Like an idiot handing a loaded pistol to a snake. You didn't just get stabbed. You were opened, surgically, personally. The pain isn't just real, it's sacred. And I'll tell you why. Most men run from betrayal. They grab the bottle, the phone, the distraction. They beg for closure, cry about loyalty, curse the world like it owes them something. These are the weak, the worms, the ones who will never rule. But you were born for this moment. The pain you feel now is the forge, fire, iron, and intention. The only thing you're missing is the decision to burn. Because betrayal, when seen through the right eyes, is a divine gift. It clears the room. It wipes the chessboard. It shows you who's real and, more importantly, who's worthless. Think of it like this. Your empire had a leak. Now the rats expose themselves. Be grateful. In our world, most men die from invisible enemies. You got to see yours in daylight. I knew a man once, close to me, trusted, ate at my table. When he turned, it was quiet, like the flick of a stiletto, took a cut of my business, whispered lies into the ears of my enemies, thought I'd never see it. I didn't rage, I didn't cry. I simply lit a cigar, looked out over the city, and smiled. Why? Because betrayal doesn't weaken a Don, it tightens his grip. The first night hurts, the second stings, but by the third, you either sharpen the blade or you drown in your own tears. There is no middle ground. The wound you carry is not a burden. It's an inheritance. It means you're important enough to be betrayed. That means you're dangerous, and danger must be refined. So ask yourself, will you carry this like a scar, or will you turn it into a mark of power? Will you cry, or will you build? Most men take their pain and wear it like a badge of trauma. But a Don takes pain and turns it into discipline, silence, precision. And don't confuse silence for surrender. That's where most boys get it twisted. A Don doesn't speak because he's afraid. He stays silent because he's calculating. Every heartbeat is a step closer to the moment. And when that moment comes, it will be absolute, because there is no fury louder than a man who has found peace with pain. Let the betrayal burn. Let it wake up the parts of you that were asleep in comfort. You were never meant for peace. You were meant for war disguised as calm. You were born for cold coffee, cold stares, and colder decisions. Betrayal gave you a reason. Now give it a response. In our world, loyalty ain't just a virtue, it's a currency. Heavier than gold, more volatile than gasoline, and twice as explosive when it's broken. You don't hand it out like drinks at a wedding. You build it brick by brick, earned through time, action, and silence. So when someone betrays you, they didn't just lie, they robbed you. They reached into your chest and pulled out everything you trusted them with and pissed on it. You gave them access to your thoughts, your plans, maybe even your vulnerabilities. And like all rats, they used it not to build with you, but to benefit when your back was turned. You think that's just a mistake? No, kid. That's war. And the first rule of war is this. When someone crosses the line, you never let them come back. Because if you do, they'll cross it again. And the second betrayal always costs more. A Don doesn't let a traitor breathe twice. Not because he's angry, not because he wants revenge, but because loyalty must be sacred. If it's not sacred, it's nothing. You see, in this life, the moment you allow betrayal to go unchecked, you just set the price of your own trust. Cheap, replaceable, disposable. And once people smell that weakness, you'll drown in snakes disguised as friends. Let me give you a picture. In the old world, when a man betrayed the family, the sentence wasn't just death. It was erasure. His name, his photos, his history, gone, like he never existed. Not out of pettiness, out of principle. You don't let a rat become legend. You don't immortalize a snake. You make him disappear, so the lesson remains. Loyalty is life. Break it, and you forfeit yours. But here's the colder part. You were part of the problem. Yeah, let that sink in. Because at some point, you gave your loyalty too easily. You ignored signs. You wanted connection more than you demanded character. That's not loyalty, that's desperation. And desperation is a scent wolves can smell from a mile away. So now you rebuild, not from scratch, from blood. Every name in your circle gets reevaluated, every favor reweighed. You become paranoid, but with purpose. You watch how they speak about others, especially behind closed doors. You track who claps when you win, and who claps the loudest when you lose. Because the man who smiles too quickly is usually hiding something behind his teeth. Your circle should feel like a vault, thick, cold, impenetrable. Inside? Few, trusted, proven. Outside? Everyone else. Doesn't matter if they're family, old friends, or sweet talkers. You don't owe anyone access to your empire just because they knew you when you were broke. Loyalty isn't about the past. It's about what they protect when you're not in the room. And let's be real. No one is 100% loyal by accident. It takes fear, respect, and shared purpose. A Don doesn't just demand loyalty. He incentivizes it. He builds systems, power dynamics, consequences. So people think twice before they even consider betrayal, because they know, in this life, if you rob the vault, you'll end up inside it. So let the betrayal sharpen your systems. Let it teach you the cost of access. And next time you build a circle, remember, not everyone who smiles at the Don deserves to live under his roof. They betrayed you. The instinct to lash out? Natural. The desire to expose them? Predictable. But predictable men are easy to defeat, easy to corner, easy to forget. You want to strike back? Good. But if you're going to do it right. And right never comes with noise. It comes with silence. Let me tell you something only the real ones know. The loudest man in the room is always the weakest. He wants to be seen. He wants to scream his pain like a boy who just lost his toy. But a Don disappears. He cuts off the noise. He goes underground. And when he rises, it's not with emotion. It's with empire. There's a reason snakes don't roar. They just strike. When someone betrays you, your emotions want to take the wheel. You want to call them out, show the world what they did, make them pay publicly. But all that does is feed them. You give them attention, energy, power, and worse, you show your hand. You confirm they hurt you. That's not revenge. That's weakness in disguise. The real power move? Go dark. Vanish. Let them wonder where you went. Let them talk to their shadows, paranoid about what's coming. Because silence is a form of torture. It makes your enemies hallucinate. They start imagining what you're planning, who you're talking to, what you know. And the truth is, you don't have to do anything yet. You want revenge? Building quietly. Take everything they thought they damaged and turn it into domination. Build your body, your money, your mind. Make every breath a calculated step toward a life they could never touch. You want real vengeance? Become so powerful that their betrayal becomes irrelevant. That's the coldest payback of all. I knew a man. His brother-in-law stole $500,000 from him, tried to run off with his wife. Most men would have snapped, screamed, chased. But this man, he said nothing. He disappeared. 2 years later, he bought the building where that brother-in-law had his little business, shut it down, leased it to a strip club. Every month, the rat had to watch his empire turn to dust while the Don collected the rent. That's revenge, not rage, not shouting, strategy. And don't confuse revenge with obsession. A Don doesn't obsess over traitors. He just doesn't forget. There's a difference. He doesn't wake up with hate in his blood. He wakes up with precision. And the best part? He lets karma take its cut. Because in this life, most snakes choke on their own venom. You don't have to rush it. Just prepare the room. You see, there's a method to vengeance that weak men will never understand. You don't retaliate emotionally. You retaliate mathematically. You calculate their weakness. You measure your moment. And then you hit so clean, so quiet, so final, that there's no echo, just silence. So hold your rage, hide your plans, keep your face stone cold, your hands steady, your voice calm. The more you say, the less power you have. Let the betrayal age like wine. Let time make it sweeter. And when the time comes, you won't just get even. You'll get ahead. You want the truth? The blade wasn't the first betrayal. It was the final one. The real betrayal happened the moment you ignored the signs. The moment you let your guard down for comfort. The moment you said, "He'd never do that to me," and believed it. That wasn't love. That wasn't trust. That was negligence. And a Don never gets to be negligent. You stand there, blood on the floor, heart cut open, pointing fingers. But before you pointed at them, pointed at the mirror. Because that man, he let it happen. He opened the gates. He wanted peace more than he wanted protection. That's how empires fall. Betrayal, if used right, becomes the cruelest teacher you'll ever meet. And like every good teacher, it doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about your foundation. Who were you before this? Who were you when you handed out access like candy? Were you disciplined? Were you calculating? Or were you just hoping people wouldn't hurt you? Hope is not a strategy, it's a weakness. The Don doesn't hope, he ensures. Let me tell you something most men are too afraid to admit. You attracted the betrayal, not because you deserved it, but because you tolerated the environment that allowed it. Loyalty without boundaries is not love, it's suicide. You let people get too close. You confused history for honor. You gave second chances to people who deserved none. You were lenient because you thought that made you noble. But nobility without strength is just weakness with a title. You think the betrayal made you bitter? It made you aware. You're waking up now. You're seeing that not everyone who claps is a supporter, not everyone who cries is sincere, and not everyone who says, "I got your back," means it. Sometimes they mean it literally, with a knife. So now, you rebuild, and this time, you build you. Not the man they liked, not the man who wanted to be understood. You build the version of yourself that no one dares cross. You develop eyes that see through smiles, ears that hear what silence is saying. You become hard, not because the world hurt you, but because the world respects what it fears. Take this pain and carve it into discipline. Let the betrayal turn into morning workouts, late-night strategy, unread messages, and unbroken silence. The man you become after this, he doesn't beg, he doesn't explain, he doesn't forgive easily, he remembers. This is your transformation. And transformations are never peaceful. They happen in dark rooms, behind cold eyes, under pressure. You're not supposed to be smiling, you're supposed to be forging. Let the betrayal teach you what softness got you. Let it show you that forgiveness isn't always divine. Sometimes it's just an excuse to avoid growing up. And don't you dare become the villain they painted you to be just to prove a point. That's their game. You don't stoop to revenge stories and sobbing monologues. You rise, quietly, ruthlessly, like a blade that remembers the hand that dropped it. Let this be the last time you give trust without caution, the last time you mistake emotion for evidence, the last time you open your gates to men who don't carry honor in their shadow. You were hurt, but now you're awake. Now comes the part no one wants to admit, the part where choice is no longer poetic, it's primal, because after betrayal, you don't have a dozen paths. You don't have time to figure it out. You have two roads, and only one leads to the man you pretend to be when you look in the mirror. The first road is easy, it's well lit, comfortable. It's where you get sympathy, where people say, "I can't believe they did that to you." And you nod, feel heard, feel understood. But understand this, that road leads nowhere. You stay there long enough, and the betrayal becomes your identity. You wear it like a scar you show off at every opportunity. You become a man defined by his wounds, and no one fears a man who just wants to be pitied. On that road, you cry like a victim, you talk too much, you replay the past, you romanticize the pain like it gives you depth. You think pain makes you powerful. It doesn't. What you do with it, that decides everything. The other road is quiet, cold, lonely at first, but it leads to something. It leads to power. Not the kind they sell in books and podcasts. Real power. The kind that makes people respect your silence more than they respected your words. The kind that rebuilds from ashes, not emotionally, but strategically, brick by brick, without a word, without asking for permission. You choose that road, and you don't just move on. You evolve. You stop sharing your plans. You stop explaining your moves. You let the pain harden into vision, into standards, into an empire that no one sees until it's already built. And when they see it, it's too late. I've seen both types. The crybabies, they fade, they spiral, they seek closure, therapy, validation. They become soft, philosophical about betrayal, always reflecting, never rising. But the other type, the kingmakers, they take betrayal like a sword to the gut. They bleed, quietly. Then they get up, patch the wound, and build something so untouchable that their enemies can't even reach the gates. That's the path of the dawn. And let me be clear, this isn't about suppressing pain. You don't ignore the wound. You let it bleed. But you bleed in private. You don't perform your pain. You train with it. Every rep in the gym, every deal you close, every hour you study or hustle or sharpen your edge, that's revenge. That's redemption. Because in this life, the world only respects two things: results and restraint. The man who cries earns sympathy. The man who builds earns silence. And silence, my friend, is what real power sounds like. So here you are, standing at the fork. One road leads to more betrayal, more weakness, more excuses. The other, it leads to a life where betrayal becomes your beginning, not your end, where pain is remembered, but not obeyed. You have two options: cry like a bitch or rise like a dawn. Choose.